Hi guys, and welcome to another live stream. I'm here with Chris from the Car Mania YouTube channel, who lives and is from Germany. He's done a recent video about the Nissan Leaf and RapidGate, which is what this live stream's all about, and which is why I am talking to Chris, of course. So thanks for doing this, Chris, all the way from Germany. And you wouldn't know from your accent because you speak better English than me.
I think this is rumours. Hi, thank you very much for having me invited to this session. Yes, I did several videos, and I also own a Nissan Leaf now. And yeah, I have a lot of questions to answer.
Good. Well, the way I found your channel was through various other videos, but the one that caught my eye was obviously the one that you did just before you bought the new 40 kilowatt Leaf, and that was the one about the RapidGate. You basically, it looked like a demo that you got from a dealer, and then you did a bit of a test on the Autobahn. So could you give us a kind of like a brief synopsis of what you did and what ultimately happened in the video?
Yes, of course. So I did 3 videos. One main review about the Nissan Leaf, where it's all about performance, the advantages, the options and everything. And another one with charging, so that people who are trying to get in touch with e-mobility can have just gain some knowledge about charging, how to charge, what kind of options we have. And the third video is a RapidGate video, which is, surprise, surprise, the most successful one, because it's the biggest thing now about the Nissan Leaf. And well, this test is a bit off topic for people living in the UK or living in any country except Germany, because I was trying to simulate a realistic circumstances in Germany, because the problem is if you drive EV car speeds on a German Autobahn, like 110 kilometers per hour, or let me say 70 miles, the problem is that everyone is faster than you are, because the average is driving 160 kilometers per hour, and you feel really slow. And I was trying to simulate the situation when trading your combustion engine for an e-car and you're trying to flow with the traffic. And for this, you need to drive 140 kilometers per hour. And I wanted to see how the car's behavior is in this case. I drove from Munich, where I live, 40 kilometers to a place being 200 meters higher than Munich is. So it went uphill a bit. But driving 140 kilometers per hour really, punched up the temperature, the battery temperature, from 26 degrees, where I started with, up to 51 degrees. And of course, that's really hot stuff. Wow. And I just turned around after 40 kilometers, drove back, so downhill, and went to the rapid charger. And this rapid charger, from my experience, gives 45 kilowatts if a car has no issues with the battery temperature. And suddenly I recognized that the battery temperature is a big problem, because I started charging with 19 kilowatts instead of 45. And through the whole time I was charging with 19. Luckily, I haven't got throttled down to 14 or some equal nightmare. But anyway, it's a nightmare because it's a half of charging speed, so it means the double time of charging. And that's a tragedy. But only if you drive that fast.
Yeah, so basically you drove that fast you couldn't even do a single rapid charge at the normal speed because the batteries were too hot. The car restricted it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So my experience says now, and many other experiences prove it, that what counts is the temperature of the batteries when you start the charging. So if you start at, like I did a few days ago at a rapid charger with my Leaf, I started charging at 29 degrees. And while charging, the battery temperature went up to 49 degrees, so 20 degrees more, but still it went with 45 kilowatts. Like it started, it kept this level, because what counts to the battery management system of the Nissan Leaf is the temperature when starting the charging. It doesn't matter to the battery battery management system how the battery temperature goes higher. It's the thing at the starting point, that's what counts. And that's why when you charge once and your battery temperature is fine, you're never going to get throttled down. So you can charge with 45 easily, but the next one's going to be the problem, because the rapid charging is punching up the temperature And at the next rapid charger, at about after 200 kilometers, 220 kilometers, your battery temperature is still so high that nothing is there due to missing thermal management, what could balance or pull down the battery temperature so you are charging the second time with about 40 degrees of battery temperature, and that's why you're never going to charge the second time faster or more than, let me say, 27 or something like that kilowatts. And that's also, that's already a lot slower than normally, or your first charge.
Yeah. So presumably then, if certainly in summer in Germany, you're going to have to stick to slower speeds if you want to do a longer journey. I mean, does that turn you into a little bit of a liability, or is it not uncommon? You know, when you're going slower on the autobahn.
For me as a German, or regarding the Nissan Leaf.
If you're in your Leaf and you need to charge, so therefore you have to stick to say 110 kilometers an hour, about 70. Is there any danger there?
Yeah, I would suffer from that, but I'm a German, and as I explained at the beginning, the problem is that everyone is passing by a lot faster than you are. So 110 kilometers per hour, especially for a speed enthusiast like me, is not really a good deal. But in the end, you have to see that if you can just force yourself to drive 110, you're going to get faster to your target than driving faster, because driving faster is only good for this short period of time until you reach the charger, and as soon as you have done so, the charging time will cost you so much time. So charging will cost you so much time that it would have been better driving 110, keeping the battery temperature constant at about 30 degrees where you have no issues, arriving, charging 45 minutes and driving off again and having charged with the full amount of power that the rapid charger can give you. So driving slower is faster in the end with the Nissan Leaf.
So it's like the tortoise and the hare, basically. I have noticed that actually myself in both the Leafs I've had. If you drive more economically, you'll get there obviously a bit slower, but ultimately you have to charge less because you've used less power. So it kind of balances out a bit. But the fact that you can get the car can get to that temperatures with not too much effort does beg the question of other countries around the world. I mean, I've had a look online, and next week, for example, in Arizona, it's due to get above 40 degrees centigrade, and they sell the Leaf in that part. So, you know, we're not talking Saudi Arabia now, we're talking America. And occasionally parts of Europe get above 40. I know it's rare, but Spain, for example. So presumably you could be in a situation in a hot country where you simply just cannot rapid charge your car before you've even driven it because the ambient temperature is too hot.
Yeah, so I think we have to pay attention on not being so much against the Nissan Leaf. I'm not saying that this as a Nissan Leaf owner, because I can definitely criticize everything about my car if there is something to criticize, but we also have to see realistic circumstances, because the problem is that many people are uploading videos, combustion engine drivers or press people driving Nissan Leaf once, not having really read so much about it, driving it for 1 or 2 hours, and the only thing that they see is, well, so even press from America or Canada, where they see, okay, we have 40 degrees and already the first rapid charging sucked, actually. But then the press cars were standing in the bright and punching sunlight for hours and hours. And if you own an e-car, I think 90% of the e-car owners have a garage, especially in America. And if you have 40 degrees outside, your garage is not going to be hotter than 25, let me say. And your battery is going to have 23 degrees. And if you start driving, it needs plenty of time for your battery cells getting up to the level it will, or the battery cells will, but it takes some time reaching the level of the exterior temperature. So it's not like you're permanently starting with a hot battery, because no one is standing permanently for hours and hours outside, except for people driving to work, don't have a garage, and they just have their car standing there. Of course, that's the disadvantage, but not starting in the morning. And this is what press people do never tell you because they don't know it, because they don't regard this fact that it's not realistic, because the EV car driver always has a garage. And when starting, I think you need to drive about, what could be realistic, about an hour until the 25 degrees Celsius battery temperature goes up to the current exterior temperature of 40 degrees. And then it could be, but also 40 degrees is not like 50 degrees. So you can still charge with that 32 kilowatts if you need so. But anyway, the other realistic question that we have to ask ourselves with the Nissan Leaf is who drives more than the current range of the Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt hour battery gives you. So you can drive realistic 200. You can do.
I'm a bit of an exception.
How far do you drive a day?
Well, in a day the car does about 130 miles, but I do frequent.
Or just altogether.
That's just on a normal kind of day, because I take the car to work, I come home, then my wife takes it to work as well, so we both use it for commuting because we work at different times. But my parents live down south of England, so that's probably about 300 miles each way, and that's a semi-regular journey there. And obviously, because I've got the channel, I do longer journeys than a traditional EV owner probably would for videos or just to see people. So I've done about 27,000 miles in about 18 months. On the 30 Leaf, of course, not the 40. But I suppose my issue is that the previous Leafs didn't have this problem, because obviously the battery was smaller and it was less apparent, should we say, was the thermal issue. So I also feel like that Nissan have taken a step backwards on an issue which everybody. I mean, I've kind of mentioned this a few times before in previous videos, but the Ioniq, the i3, the Renault Zoe, even the Renault Twizy has some form of battery cooling. But the new state-of-the-art Nissan Leaf doesn't, even though everyone was kind of screaming for it on the 30. And it's just it's a backward step, which most people, as you said, won't notice. Sorry, the usage pattern won't highlight this issue. Certainly in the UK, anyway. But it's something that I think it's a problem that shouldn't have been there in the first place, because Nissan should have. Well, they obviously knew it was coming.
Definitely. So I'd really appreciate having a thermal management, because I wouldn't need to watch permanently the Nissan Leaf Spy app. What I do, especially today, I did so because I knew we were going to have this live session, and I wanted to see how the battery temperature develops, because we were driving around about 60 kilometers highway, city and stuff. But I say, so my opinion is that with a 40 kilowatt hour Leaf, if you drive 400 kilometers, so altogether one day, I think you're not going to suffer from the RapidGate issue, because the first charge in the UK, you're not going to have thermal problems, because let's be honest, how fast can you drive without risking hard punishments in the UK? So I think you drive. What's your highway driving speed? What's its?
The speed limit is 70 on all motorways. Miles per hour.
So 70 is actually the border. So I recognised 120 kilometers per hour or 70 miles per hour is the border, where the battery temperature doesn't start going up and up and up, where it stays slightly below or constant with the exterior temperature. This is what I did today. We had 25 degrees today here in Munich, and I drove on a highway on the Autobahn, 120 kilometers per hour. For about 15-20 kilometers, so constantly with ProPilot activated, and the battery temperature was 27.2 degrees, the maximum. And this is the border. So if you don't cross the 70 miles per hour border, you're not going to have issues with RapidGate. So, and if you stop once in your driving behavior, you can charge within 45 minutes, really up to 80%, and drive off again. So 150 or 130 miles, like you say, which would be 200 kilometers, or 300 miles, you said you sometimes drive a day.
That'd be to visit my parents. That'd be a one continuous trip. So that'd be a long trip. Yeah, that's the biggest one, if you like.
300 miles is 440 kilometers. No, it's more. About 450 kilometers.
Something like that, yeah.
I think this is possible in the UK. So if you lived in, just let me say, Arizona, I'd say from off the line, don't buy this car. Anyway, it doesn't matter how much you drive, because one thing is, and this is I think the next point where we can get to, one thing is the speed that gets throttled down while charging due to overheated battery cells. The other thing is that even if you, let us say that someone doesn't charge at a rapid charger, but he drives faster speeds at higher temperatures, like in Arizona, and he knows, okay, this highway is free, I'm not going to just get busted by police. I can drive faster. And he drives permanently every day with battery cell temperatures about 40, 45 degrees. One thing is the charging speed, where he maybe doesn't care about because he charges overnight in his garage because he doesn't drive more than 100 miles. And even if he drives fast, his range is never going to get that low that he can't get home back. So he charges in his garage, no problem with the rapid charging, but the battery cell temperature, and that's the second fear of many people, could cause a problem with the life cycle, so the longevity of the battery cells, the life cycle, so that maybe after 3 years of having started with 100% of battery state of health, starting with 100% when you get the car as a new car, and after 3 years maybe having 75, that's to me also a tragedy, because 75% means you have basically a third less battery capacity after 3 years, and maybe you are slightly above the warranty border, so Nissan doesn't give you new battery because you haven't crossed the border, but still it's 25% less battery capacity, and this is what the overheated battery cells, constantly overheated battery cells, could cause. But we don't know it, and I think we have to wait about a year or 1.5 until these long distance daily drivers upload their Nissan Leaf Spy app screenshots where you can see the state of health, and there you can see that maybe it's also possible that these new battery cells that the Leaf has are more heat resistant, so maybe it doesn't matter at all that much driving 40, 45 degrees. We don't know it, but this is something that right now, as we don't know it, current owners really have to watch out for the battery temperature. If it's constantly above 40 degrees, that's why I say if you live in Arizona where you have weeks of 40, 45 degrees Celsius, it's a bad idea. Except it's a leasing car. If you give it back after 3 years, well, it's Nissan's problem then. But if you buy it, most of the people do, that's going to be a problem in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, do you believe that, even though most people won't see this issue, as you've said, that Nissan have kind of an obligation to make it clear in their marketing, their brochures, their website, or whatever? It doesn't have to be a big sign, but there's nothing even in the terms and conditions to say this isn't a long-range vehicle, please be aware. Or, you know, I've literally rung 4 different dealerships up yesterday, electric special dealerships that specialise in Leaf sales, and spoke to the Leaf specialist. And I don't know whether they've been told to just don't admit anything, but that they didn't either know it existed or didn't want to mention that it existed. So I think Nissan should be basically doing what half of the EV community and social media is doing for them, and letting people know that, look, okay, it might be a good car, yes, it will suit most people, but you need to be aware of these limitations, because I don't want someone to get one and then maybe the usage pattern changes or something, and be in that situation that you think. So I think they have an obligation to come clean, if you like, on this.
It's definitely the politics behind it, because with the predecessor Nissan Leaf, it was or it is the best-selling EV car in the world, and of course the expectation of facing this status or record again is higher than, let me say, so if they sell 200,000 units of the new Nissan Leaf, these 7,000 people complaining about it on the internet, they can live with it. Because so there is 2 chances I didn't know it, because even my car dealer here in Munich didn't say anything about it. So I was confronting him with that, and I was not confronting. I told him I did a RapidGate test with his car, and the battery cell temperature went up to 50 degrees. He didn't say anything, but maybe this is because he sells 5 EV cars per year, and the rest is combustion engine. So he doesn't care, and he doesn't know. And this is the thing that you can't find out. Does the dealer who you ask and doesn't respond to this question, doesn't he know it, or doesn't he want to tell anything about it? Because maybe it's more important to get the client, sell the car, and afterwards the client can't do anything at all because he already bought the car and now he's sitting on it. And who has that media platform behind himself, like you or like me, of saying, okay, if you just tricked me, I'm going to do a video and I'm going to punch your face. 99.5% of the owners don't. So what are they doing? They are complaining about it in front of friends, in front of everyone, but that doesn't influence the sales because it's just like I said, 7,000 people being pissed and the other 193,000 people are not complaining about it or are not touched by the issue. Because I have to say now, because it's many negative things ever since these 20 minutes that we've been talking now, many negative things about the Nissan Leaf. So I also have to protect this car because I'm driving it as my daily driver. I traded a 385 PS 6-cylinder BMW M for the Nissan Leaf, and I'm really happy with it. I'm not missing the combustion engine at all. To my needs, it's perfect because I'm rapid charging once or twice a year. I'm mostly driving city traffic, and yesterday it showed me, after having charged it, 318 kilometers of range. This is about 168 miles of range, and I'm not driving in eco mode. I'm permanently driving without the eco mode because I like the acceleration of the normal mode. And for these needs, this car is perfect, a lot better than the Hyundai Ioniq because it has a more lush interior. The car looks better in my eyes, but that's a question of taste. It has the better features, and except seat cooling, but this is the only thing that it doesn't have. And it's more family suitable. So you have 435 litres of boot space. I'm just driving around with my daughter and my wife, and it's really perfect if you don't rapid charge, don't do rapid charge, and if you don't live in Arizona. These are two things that you have to know. And if you don't drive 250 kilometers, so let's say 120 miles a day to your workplace and back. But even then, you could charge meanwhile at your workplace.
Workplace. We'll come on to the lack of EV charging in various countries later on because I do want to kind of compare that between the UK and Germany. I have an idea of who might be better at doing it.
Be careful with this. Be careful. Germany isn't that good with the charging.
Well, you don't realise how bad we are, but I'll come back to that in a second. All right, last question on the Leaf then. Someone's done quite a significant study on the 24 and 30 kilowatt hour Leaf, and the drop off, if you like, on the battery health is slightly more on the 30 than the 24, which I guess is kind of to be expected. So we can only assume the 40 obviously will be even steeper drop, partly because of this thermal issue. So would you have any concerns if you or a member of your family or a friend was buying a 4 or 5 year old 40 kilowatt hour Leaf, in several years' time? Would you have any issues with that? Because obviously the warranty is far less. It just sticks in your mind that I have no problem with the 24 used, and I know a lot of people have bought one. Same with the 30. Again, it's not big enough to have caused that issue, but the 40s, I'd be a bit nervous, I think, if someone bought one, several years down the line. So I'm thinking, is it going to become the one to avoid in the Leaf range once we have the 60 and whatever else might come out in the future?
Yeah, if you're patient enough, and so let me say it like this. I sold my combustion engine in January, so I needed a car. And that's why I got myself this Leaf, because normally I would have bought a 60 kilowatt hour battery, not just because it will surely get a thermal management, especially now after this shitstorm, and 220 horsepower. So let's not talk about this. But if you're patient, wait for it. If you need an EV car now, and a friend of mine or a family member asked me which to take, the thing is that it depends on his driving behavior and his circumstances, because most people I know are not driving more than, so the average thing in Europe, especially in Germany, is 30 miles, maybe the maximum altogether, so not one way. And so driving to work and back. And if you have this, and as we don't have permanently 35 degrees Celsius in summertime, maybe 2 weeks a year, I would recommend to buy the Leaf 40 kilowatt hour, just because there are things that where Nissan went many steps forward, just like the interior. So the build quality is a bit better. So it's really good standard. And the interior design is now less like this punch in your face. Hey, see, this is an EV car. If you haven't recognized it from the exterior looks, just take a look in on the inside with all these digital things and strangely positioned stuff. For my taste, even the predecessor was a beautiful car, but many people say it's ugly. And with the current Nissan Leaf, I think 95% of the doubters from the predecessor say, finally, now this is a really beautiful car, and it is, because even the looks is, if you have the LED lights, it's really valuable, so you can easily stand next to a BMW and it doesn't look cheap. And you have all these options like the Pro Pilot, like I don't know if the seat heating for the front and back seats was already available for the
yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Also, but these kinds of things, like these assist systems, I would recommend to take 40 kilowatt hour because it's a bit bigger, the boot space is bigger, so it's more practical in all-day use, and the warranty thing. So I think we haven't come so far with e-mobility to say really confidently that a car from 5 years ago really is as a combustion engine from 5 years ago, because if you treat a combustion engine which is 5 years old well, then you can be sure that today it's just like new. But it's not the same with an e-car, because if you check the state of health things, you should always, before buying a car, and you see, so I couldn't live with 85%. This is my opinion. So when I buy a car, I couldn't live with 85% because that somehow shows me that the car gets older and older. And the new Leaf, you have, let's not forget, you have 8 years of warranty, on the batteries, 160,000 kilometers. I don't know how many miles.
100,000 miles it is in the UK.
Yeah, or more, a bit more than 100,000 miles, and 8 years of warranty. So if you buy it now, you're never going to have issues. Even if you get a car which has a worse battery than your neighbours', you can go to Nissan, and if it goes below this order, they're going to change it. And I'm not a fan of older EV cars, because I think every of them has suffered from the state of health going lower and lower. I don't know, what's your state of health now after having driven?
I haven't tested. I tested it on 23,000 miles, and it was at 98.7%. Still, according to Leaf Spy, which I know isn't always massively accurate, but that was.
I have 99.24 right now, and the car hasn't even run 900 kilometers. So I think that doesn't say so much, because I think it's going up and down.
It does tend to fluctuate. That was kind of averaged out over about a week to try and get a more accurate figure. So I think it's about 90, and it's I've kind of kept track of it, obviously, as you imagine, over the past couple of years, and it's almost 2 years old now. I haven't tested it for a few months, but I have found that, or rather, I've treated mine completely how Nissan say you shouldn't. It's charged to 100%, 5 days a week at least, because we need 100%, because we both use it. I've done long journeys where the battery temperature's got quite high, because obviously you have to do a series of rapid charges. I use it as a car. I don't want to have to compromise, and my wife doesn't want to have to compromise day-to-day stuff. Say, oh, well, don't charge it above 80%. Not interested. So for me, it's just a car. So I always think charging should be like a good diet, and keep it varied. Occasional rapid charge, fast charging at home, of course, and just do different stuff. Don't just leave it there. The people I've spoken to. Sorry?
like you need it. It should be like you need it.
Yeah.
So I think the car shouldn't tell us how to treat it. The car tell how it goes. So this is, maybe that sounds a bit bossy, but I think it's just a car, just like you say. And this is why I'm against people. I mean, we do have the Tesla lobby with people being sure and convinced that there is nothing better than a Tesla. Yes, but there are people still driving from Munich to Berlin, I think about 4 times a week, because of business. And for these people, a Tesla, even if it's a P100D, doesn't match, because they have to charge, and because they have to charge. And with the modern diesel, they can drive, even if they drive constant 200 kilometers per hour from Munich to Berlin, they get that on one tank, and can fill up the tank within 3 minutes and drive back, because it counts if you are at home with your family an hour later or earlier. And this is what I'm just, this thing that people are saying, yeah, if the battery temperature goes higher, I'm driving slower. But this shouldn't be, because you have to drive like you want to drive. And if you live in Germany and you got used to, for 20 years, driving 170 kilometers per hour, and the maximum speed is 144 of the Leaf, and you'd like to drive at least 140 kilometers permanently, then do it. And if you can't, because this damn battery cells overheat, you don't have to buy the car. You shouldn't suffer from this and say, okay, I'm just punishing myself by driving 110 instead of 140, because it's basically 30 miles of distance that you lose per hour. And this is where I say that it's not the Nissan Leaf that should tell us how to drive it. We should drive it like we want it to. And if it's not possible, then it's Nissan's problem. And they should face it, what they actually want with the 40 kilowatt hour Leaf. They won't. So there's not going to be any progress or development or anything.
Yeah, it's always about a compromise. I find is electric car ownership at the moment. I can take. We've got 2 cars, a normal car and the EV, of course. And if we take the normal car, it'll cost about £70 in petrol. If we take the electric car, £10 to £15 for the same journey, but it'll take longer. So it's a compromise. Do you have time this weekend, or do you want to save money? Once obviously we get a much longer range, that problem goes away. But for now, there's a definite compromise with electric cars, and there's definitely you have to fit the profile, so to speak.
Yeah, this is it. To me, it wasn't the money. I wanted to. I said to myself, let's stop this air pollution, because my BMW just swallowed 14 liters per 100 kilometers per 60 miles, especially in city traffic. And I said, no, let's stop it. I have a 20-month-old daughter, and I'd like to do something. I'd like to give something back. Just show it to myself, and I'm 32 years old now. I'm not 21 anymore. And do this. But still, I am really happy about now, within this 1 week that I've been driving around with my Leaf, of seeing that I haven't been spending 1 cent on driving around, because I can charge 900 meters away from my home at the supermarket at a 22 kilowatt charger, and at the radio station where I'm working at with 6 kilowatts, and it's totally for free. So I can choose which I take, and until now, it was totally for free. And I'm driving around with not spending even €1 on it. And that's the advantage of the higher range. So yes, the communication is a higher range. It's just a problem for everyone who bought the Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt hour because of the high range and started doing daily longer trips and suffering now from the RapidGate. But to me, it's better just because you asked me whether to take a 24, 30 kilowatt hour Leaf or this one. But if you have the driver's profile like me, what I think 80% of the people have, then of course it's better to have a range of 300 or 250 kilometers than having the capability like this test where the Leaf, the Ioniq, and the Leaf 30 kilowatt hour just went 900 kilometers, and the Leaf 30 kilowatt hour arrived 3 hours earlier than the new Leaf did. Yeah. Okay, that's shit. No discussion about this. This is just embarrassing, and it would be a shame to me if I was Nissan. But the other thing is, how many times do you do trips like these? I mean, if you buy an EV car, I think you have, just like you have a combustion engine parallel to this, and I have a combustion engine, because if you do longer trips, like, let me say 700-800 kilometers, I don't want to lose 2 hours of charging. Even if everything goes well with the charging without any RapidGate, it's still 2 or 2.5 hours of losing time, compared to the combustion engine, my diesel, where I can drive 900 or 1,000 kilometers. So that's not what you buy the EV car for. And this is what the press people like me, but I'm communicating it, but most of the people don't. And that's what gives the Nissan Leaf a bad reputation. And that's why people ask, just like you asked me, if I'd recommend to buy an older one just because with the charging it's better, or the new one. But, you know, there is rumors, before we close this chapter, there is rumors that Nissan hasn't included or hasn't put this thermal management into the Nissan Leaf because they were watching permanently over the years this telematics system where they can permanently see, let me say, all these 200,000 drivers, and the average 85% of these 200,000 drivers don't do rapid charging and don't drive more than 100 miles. So what's the result? We don't need thermal management because 85% of them would be using it, so we can keep the costs lower, make the car more attractive on the market, because saying, hey, Pro Pilot, seated, heated this, heated that, full LED, leather seats, Bose sound system and whatever, and for the same money like Hyundai Ioniq. But the problem is what they should have watched. They did all these development with the last Leaf, with the predecessor. And of course, with this car, the people weren't driving more than 200 miles because they knew they couldn't.
Yeah.
But now with the new one, the people are buying this car because there you can see many car dealers here in Munich where there is 415 kilometers of WLTP range. That's you can face it if
you wanted to.
Just put off the air condition. If you drive permanently recuperation with the e-pedal in the eco mode, 30 kilometers per hour, but that's not the average, so that's a lie. So that's the only thing they should be communicating. The dealers should say, hey, if you buy this car because of the long range, bear in mind that the second charging is going to throttle down and you got to lose time. If you don't, this car is perfect for you, just like for me.
Yeah. Would you pay a few €1,000s or pounds? It'd say €3,000 if there was an optional extra for thermal battery management on your Leaf. You know, if you could pick it as an option, would you go for it? You know, is it worth something to you?
No, but just because the range of the car is too small. Because if now the difference between a thermal management range and a range without a thermal management would be 600 kilometers compared to, or 360 miles compared to the half of it, then I'd say yes, of course, because then I can get rid of the combustion engine and only drive everywhere, even on holidays, with the Leaf. But as I'm just not taking this car for trips longer than 450 kilometers, €3,000 would be a bit too much in my eyes, because I'm not suffering from the RapidGate. But for people being really interested in the Nissan Leaf and only not buying it because it doesn't have thermal management, I think 90% of these people would pay an additional €3,000 for having the thermal management.
Yeah.
€1,000 I would, just for saying that I have it, even if I don't need it, for not just being the loser in front of the Hyundai Ioniq Patriots and i3 Patriots and that stuff. But not $3.
Well, I picked 3,000 just because that's the UK price for the i3 range extender. Yeah. So just as a figure, I mean, who knows how much it'd actually cost Nissan. I'd love to see if they just include it in every car, whether it'd make that much difference at all. Who knows? It's something we'll obviously never know. Final question then, again, on the Leaf. Do you think it was an engineering decision to not put this in, or a financial decision by Nissan? You know, did the accountants make the decision, because I can't imagine an engineer wanted to do this, at his heart. I think it's the financial part of Nissan which has forced this lack of TBM.
Definitely, because what kind of an engineer are you
Yeah.
if you recommend the company that you're working for of not including one of the most important things to an EV car? This is like, I can't even compare it to a combustion engine, because there's nothing that I could say with a combustion engine. If you leave it away, it doesn't just work. And it's that close of saying it. So basically, I could say, even if I'm not suffering from this, basically an EV car without the thermal management is crap, because it's just crap. So I think it was definitely a financial decision for making the car more attractive on the market, because I think in the end it counts if you are communicating for less than £31,000 than saying for just £33,000, because that's a psychological thing. If people compare the Hyundai Ioniq Electric to the Nissan Leaf, and they say, well, it's the same. I don't need that lush interior. I don't need the LED lights, and there is a Nissan Leaf, but it costs $2,000 more. For this, I can go on holidays. I take the Hyundai, but like this, they keep it on the same level and communicating, showing the TV commercials where they're driving these highly produced, high-end produced video where they're driving with the Pro Pilot and fascinating stuff, and only for £31,000 or euros. And that's a cost aspect, because it's maybe I think it's if someone says, working for Nissan in the position of an engineer, saying, hey, I've tested it now with my team for 2 million kilometers, and we've come to the decision of not including a thermal management. This is not an engineer. This is maybe someone from a house, a greenkeeper from a golf court, who just got the job as an engineer somehow, because that couldn't be a logical decision. It's definitely a cost thing in my eyes, definitely. And it's a pity that Nissan doesn't give you the option for these people to say you can buy it with a thermal management or without a thermal management. And even if it's €2,000, then many people would buy this money. I would pay this money. I wouldn't. But having the decision is always better as a client before you buy something for so much money than of not having it and suffering from something. That was a cost thing, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, to anyone on the live chat, if you want to ask any questions now, and we can do that in a few minutes, so put them up there. There's several people talking on there, and mainly the thing is, a lot of people, and I've seen this on my Twitter feed quite a lot, they're waiting for the 60 kilowatt hour version. But what I do want to mention is that at the moment the 40 Leaf is by itself. There's no competition given the range and value. Obviously Tesla are just significantly more expensive, and every other EV has a fair bit less range. But I assume it's the same in Germany. The Ioniq here has a near 12-month waiting list. The i3 I think is about 5-6 months. The Zoe, it's getting better because they've obviously just updated it. I think that's about 5 to 6 months for that. The Leaf effectively is the only car. I mean, my car, if I handed it back under the finance agreement, I'll probably be keeping it. But if I did, it'd be going back at the end of July. I couldn't order any car other than the Leaf now and get it for that date, because it's the only one available. Every other, the e-Golf is nearly 12 months for the waiting list. I mean, it's almost like they don't want people to buy it. Without, that's the only one that doesn't. But that's a car that's been adapted for to be electric. With the Leaf being ground up, you would have thought it'd have been there. But anyway, that's one thing. So let's go on to the UK-Germany difference between the charging infrastructure. Just to give you an idea, my nearest public charger, and this is a slow charger, so it's a 3 kilowatt, is about 12 miles from me. The nearest rapid charger, that's probably about 19 to 20 miles. And this is how bad it is. There are parts of the country that are much better, of course, but where I live, and it's not exactly in the middle of nowhere. I live in Yorkshire. You probably won't know what that is, but it's more of the rural side of the UK. And there are 3 rapid chargers across 2 cities. There's about 1.5 million people living in these 2 cities, Leeds and Bradford, and there are 3 rapid chargers for all of these. And I live kind of near them. There's literally nothing. I genuinely couldn't survive if I didn't have off-road parking. And in the UK, 60% of houses have off-road parking, which means 40% don't. So could you survive if I suddenly ripped your home charger out? Do you think, if you wanted to, you could survive with the German public charging infrastructure where you are now?
Definitely. Yeah, so as much as I'm complaining about it, hearing this, I was trying to find you on Google Maps right now, just to see how big you are. But of course, we have to say that Munich is a really big city.
Yes, I live near Skipton. If you want to find the actual.
It's not comparable to Yorkshire, but
Yorkshire's the biggest county in the UK.
So my nearest charger is about 2 minutes of driving away. It's a 11 kilowatt Type 2 or 22 kilowatt Type 2, but that doesn't help because anyway you can get 6 kilowatts with the Leaf because it only has 1 phase charging. But if we just go away from Leaf, my nearest is 2 minutes away, and there is another one 2 minutes away at a car dealer. Then the next, let me call it halfway rapid charger, is a 22 kilowatt charger at the supermarket, 800 meters, no, 2 kilometers away, sorry, 2 kilometers. So how many miles? 1.2 miles away, where I can charge with about 20 kilowatts. And the more you drive downtown, the more of these chargers you can find located at parking spaces and stuff. So even if you just pull away now 3 chargers nearby, I still have another one. Yeah. And my first rapid charger, my really rapid charger, is where I charged in my RapidGate video. This is on the highway located at a service station, and it's about 8 kilometers away, so it's 14 minutes to get there, and it's worth it. If I say, okay, spontaneously I have to drive somewhere in a few hours, I'd rather go there, charge, and I have a charging card from a company where you pay 5 cents per minute, and 5 cents per minute is if you charge 45 minutes. Yeah, so it's €2 and something. So it's ridiculous, especially compared to running a combustion engine. So it's a good infrastructure. And I also have IKEA. You know IKEA?
Yeah. Each one in the UK has a rapid charger or 2 here as well.
Here as well, and they are just optimizing every IKEA in Germany now. We have 50 IKEAs here in Germany, and my closest is 6 kilometers away from me, and they also have 4 triple chargers. So they have 4 triple chargers where you have CHAdeMO, CCS, and Type 2, and 4 of them. So actually, I can't complain. No. Really can't complain. But the problem is still at the supermarket, for example, if I drive there, it's a dual charger. No, it's also a triple charger. So you have CHAdeMO, CCS, and Type 2. But you only have 1 parking lot for it, and you can only charge 1 car at the same time. And ever since I have received my Leaf, I went there 5 times, and 3 of these 5 times someone was charging. And when someone was charging, he was just arriving 10 seconds before I did.
Welcome to EV world.
I was so pissed because I said, "Hey, I've been coming here now for 3 years, and I never saw anyone charging here. And now, as I have my Leaf, permanently someone's just arriving 10 seconds in front of me before I do." And that's the only problem, and that's the same problem with every charger, except you have 4 triple chargers at here, because you can be quite sure that they're not going to be occupied, because there is not so many EV car drivers for occupying 4 triple chargers at an IKEA.
Yeah, I mean, I did a bit of research because, as I said before, we were going to drive all the way across Europe and do the Alpenstrasse in the Leaf, and I wanted to see if you could first and foremost do it. And there does seem to be charging infrastructure in most of the towns along the road itself, and it does seem that Europe. I mean, I guess it's different because you're all kind of, you can drive across Europe, whereas the UK is by itself, so it's always lags behind. Aldi and Lidl, for example, are just starting to do a bit of a rollout in the UK. Lidl more so than Aldi, and I'm pretty certain in Germany, would it be right that pretty much every Aldi has charging infrastructure at the supermarket? No?
Pretty much no. So
okay.
Luckily in my environment, yes, because this supermarket is an Aldi where I have this charger, where I was talking about being 2 kilometers away from me. And there is another one not being so far, also having it, but many don't. So I have, in the close environment of about 10 kilometers circle, I have 5 Aldis, and 3 or 4 of them have one. But the more you go downtown, so I live in Munich, but not downtown Munich, and there, in the city Aldis, you don't. So there you still need to watch out for the regular ones.
Yeah. So if you were in rural Germany, I can't think of a place, if I'm honest. Would that be as bad as where I am here? Do you think? Is it just a numbers game for now for the charging? The cities are fine. The cities are where they put them because that's where the people are. But I know along the motorways and the highways they're okay. But ultimately, once you peel off into a small town, is that kind of just?
I wouldn't recommend this. This is what I wouldn't recommend, because I know it from practical example that my parents live 45 kilometers away from me. So if this is downtown Munich, I live here. Can you see that? I live here. My parents live here, 45 kilometers away. And of course, when I planned to go there the first time, I thought, okay, if I stay there for about 3-4 hours, maybe there is some charging possibilities. There is, but there is no rapid charger. It's hard to find a 22 kilowatt charger. So as a visitor, it's maybe a bit shitty, but if you live there, at the same time, you have to see, okay, if you buy an EV car, we've come automatically again to the point of view, what I was explaining at the beginning. 90% of these people have a garage and they're charging overnight. And with the current Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt hour, if you charge overnight, you really, really, really need to drive a lot to have any kind of range issues. I've been driving around today. I started with 81% today, and I drove 60 kilometers and I arrived with 57% now. And I drove 60 kilometers, and also highway driving 120 kilometers per hour, so not the most efficient way like in the city traffic, where in the city traffic, the Nissan Leaf consumed 10.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers per 60 miles in the average. So that's fantastic due to one pedal driving. So it's worse in the places in the outback. If you don't live that much in just a central core of a bigger city like me. But as it seems in Germany, it's better, but still not comparable to Norway.
No, I don't think anything is it really? That's why I'd love to drive there, or just go there and rent something, because it's a fantastic scenery. So that's what always drove me. I don't know if you've even heard of the North Coast 500 in Scotland. I've done that in a Tesla, and the Mini. Astonishing. For that alone, it's worth doing. So I'd love to go to Norway just to see both. I suppose it's like anything, isn't it? It's chicken and the egg. The infrastructure has to be there for people to get the cars, but the cars need to be there for people to justify putting money into chargers. So it'll get there eventually. It's getting better each year, incrementally here. I'm assuming it's the same there. And there are European networks coming around now, like the Ionity, that they're rolling out across Europe. So hopefully they are going to be as good as we hope they are, and enable people to drive. But by the time these come up, we'll probably be in 300-400 mile range EVs anyway. So the charging infrastructure is less important, I suppose. Really
important. They are really far behind everything, basically, because the biggest issue in my eyes, so if you are new in this e-mobility segment in Germany, I'm still totally annoyed by having the necessity of carrying around 5 cards, having downloaded 6 apps, because this charger is this company, this charger is this company, this company charges you 17 cents per minute, this company charges you 5 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's such an effort, and you really have to sit down and read and check out carefully where you charge, because it's also a question of money. It's not like, I think you could pay easily every of these chargers without getting caught. But the thing is, if you know that maybe there is a possibility of charging for free or for let me say 5 times cheaper, then you sit down and just watch out on the internet, okay, which is the cheapest possibility. And this is the problem. So why nowadays, with this technology that we have available, why can't there be one card, or at least your credit card, and going there, just doing it like that, started charging, and you're going to get charged, even if the prices differ. Okay, the prices shall differ, but not the ways of paying for it, because I think there is 20 different ways of 20 different companies hiding behind these chargers, and it's so annoying that I haven't just I haven't sat down until now for taking this time for checking out everything. You have to order these cards, you have to sign up on the websites, you have to fill in your bank details, you have to wait for these cards, and that's totally shit. So why can't we just go there and pay by credit card? This is the biggest issue in my eyes with e-mobility. Doesn't matter where you are, especially if you drive to foreign countries. Italy, I live in Munich. Driving 2 hours, I'm in Italy, or even a lot less. I'm in Italy, I'm in Austria, I'm in Switzerland. And even there, it's more confusing because maybe if you don't speak the language, okay, luckily if I'm German, you get the Swiss people understand you, and the Austrian people understand you, and I speak Italian fluently because my wife is Italian. But if you don't, and you drive to Italy and standing in front of a charger, you can't see what do they tell me now, what do I need to do, who do you ask, how much time does it take to ask?
It's a common thing for a few years. You know, I've been nearly 3 years EV driving, and it is a pain in the backside. The UK are bringing legislation in November, so all charge points, publicly accessible charge points, have to have pay-as-you-go access, which we're hoping basically means contactless payment as part of legislation. So all chargers in the UK, at least, should be, we're hoping, contactless payment by November, because that will be the law. And like I say, one card to rule them all, as it were, would be a debit card or a credit card, because everybody's got one of those, and it seems easy.
Or even if not, because there are people not having a credit card, but maybe one common card or a little coin or whatever.
Currency. Can you imagine using currency to pay for fuel for your car? Whoa! Yeah, actual money to pay for fuel. Who would have thought of that? It is a common bugbear. Yeah, it really is, and it's only going to get more annoying the more common electric cars get, of course. Right, well, we're practically up to an hour now. So to avoid getting booted off.
I'm just parallel watching your. I went to your electric vehicle man channel, and I can see us now talking here on your channel. There are some things like, wonder if Nissan could get close to the MK1 Leafs' World and European Car of the Year awards. So fancy Bavmate wrote this, and
he's a taxi driver, as it points out, with a new Leaf. Just to put that out.
But the car has already won this award, hasn't it? I'm
not sure. I think it's got the best electric car award, certainly. I have no idea about the European one. Quite possibly. I've not looked, if I'm honest. But that raises a point, briefly. He is a taxi driver, got the Leaf as soon as it comes out. It does seem perfect for taxis, does the 40 kilowatt hour Leaf. It's got the range to cover an entire shift, and it saves them a significant amount of money, of course, on fuel. So I think...
Where does he live?
He lives, I think, near Birmingham.
So
I
English.
can't rem-
So he's English.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Okay.
yeah, he's in the UK, and I think that is a big thing, because when people start getting taxis and start getting into electric cars as a common thing, if taxis are getting them, all of a sudden it's more in the public consciousness. There's a city in Scotland called Dundee. Most of their taxis are the previous Leaf, and now obviously they're going to the other Leaf as well. They've been doing this for a few years. There's the C&C taxis in Cornwall, which is South England. They've got a fleet of about 8 with their own rapid chargers to use for the taxi rank. And they say they save about, I think it was, last I looked, £7,000-8,000 per year on fuel and maintenance alone. And because they've got their own rapid chargers at the taxi rank, there's no infrastructure worries.
Not having used down the brake pads, not paying for the fuel. Maybe they know a place where they can charge for free overnight, maybe, or just like at a supermarket. So that's really clever. Driving a taxi, I wouldn't drive anything else than an e-taxi anyway if I was a taxi driver. No question. And here, the Nissan Leaf comes to its benefit with its high range of 300, because taxi drivers mostly drive in a city downtown.
Yeah.
And they really easily drive 300 kilometers, and I think you won't drive more than 300 kilometers per day. And you can charge overnight. And even if not, and you need more, you drive quickly to a fast charger, plug it in, and in the city driving, in UK and in Germany, you're never going to have so high battery temperatures so that you're not going to get throttled down, and within 45 minutes you're going to have the same range again, roundabout. So
yeah.
So
well, I can understand. I know you haven't done it, and you've said you don't want to do long journeys in your Leaf, but from someone who does many of them, partly for videos, partly for fun, partly because I like saving money. I'm from Yorkshire, that's what we do here. Especially with a young child, I find that it's a more relaxing journey, because you're going to stop anyway on a 4 or 5 hour journey, aren't you, with a young child?
Especially with a child.
Yeah, exactly. So I find that actually, if we'd taken the other car, the only difference is that I'm driving about 10 mile an hour slower on the motorway. I'd be stopping anyway for probably 20, 30 minutes just for them. So, when there's just one person in the car, absolutely, I'll probably just go straight down, not stop. But when you get a family, it changes things, I find. So I do encourage you to do at least one decent journey in it. And they even get involved in plugging the car in with Daddy. It's good fun. And it breaks the journey up a lot as well, I find. So they get less itchy and I want to get out of the car, because you're getting out of the car, you're walking around, play around for a bit, and then you get back in and you've got another hour and a half, and then you're getting out again. So time is a big thing, but it's good fun.
Many people regard it as more stressy than it actually is, because my example, my perfect example is always, as I live in Munich, Italy's really close, and there is the Garda Lake, and it's exactly 430 kilometers away from me, and I need to charge once at a rapid charger, and then again the second time for about 15 minutes. And as I can't drive faster anyway than 110 in Italy, because in Italy they really have hard punishments. It's not like in Germany. If you drive fast in Germany, you pay a few euros and then it's done. But in Switzerland, Austria, Italy, they're going to just slit your throat if you drive fast. And so you can't drive faster than 110, 120. Your battery's not going to overheat, so you can rapid charge at the first time without issues. Drive off again, and you do stop anyway with the child. If it's now 20 months old or 5 years old, you're going to stop anyway, eat something, go to the toilet, and these 45 minutes pass by really, really quickly, and you can drive off again, and you charge only once again for 15 minutes, even if you don't have to do anything like eating or going to the toilet. 15 minutes is really not a long time, and you arrive. And if you are really clever with selecting the chargers, because there are also Nissan car dealers on the motorway, you can charge there for free also in Italy, and you can drive by not paying even 1 cent for charging your car. And that's why I say we shouldn't be overrating this thing. So that's why I say, if you have, as a conclusion, a range of 450 to 500 kilometers, so this is 300 miles, in this circle you're driving, you're not going to suffer from throttle down charging speed if you live everywhere except Dubai, and Arizona, Texas, and these kinds of stuff. But most of the Nissan Leaf buyers do live in Europe, and even if it's Spain, even if it's Italy, where it gets a bit warmer. My wife is from South Italy. They have really, really hot and long summer days, like 35 degrees permanently. Even there, if you're parking a car in the garage, you won't have problems. So buy it confidently, because this is my opinion. You're not going to suffer from this. It's so much panic. I mean, if you type in RapidGate on YouTube, you're going to have Vitaly Klitschko punch in your face of results of RapidGate videos, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, additionally, if you read the comments of so many, I just test drove this piece of shit yesterday and I recognize the same. He didn't. He just writes it because so many people are so much against e-mobility and so much fighting against it that they can't wait to find anything speaking against it. And then they are riding this train and say, yes, it's shit, because I can see it in the comments of my RapidGate video where I said, it's not going to happen to you if you drive normal speeds, what you have to do everywhere except in Germany.
Yeah,
but they are still punching. You have to imagine that you're driving uphill on the Route 66 with 4 people, and then you're stuck in the middle of nowhere. What kind of shit is that? You're not going to drive Route 66 with 4 people in it.
I get a lot of people on YouTube mainly telling me how it is to own an electric car, and they've never even sat in one. It's amazing how all these experts come out on YouTube, and and yeah, I always say, look, I try and always be fully honest. If I had a single car, I wouldn't have an electric car right now. If I didn't have off-road parking at a drive or a garage, I wouldn't have an electric car right now. It doesn't suit everyone yet. As a second car, I think they are perfect in every way because they save you money, they're easier to drive. My wife was very nervous when we first got it. Obviously, we had the backup, but she came to love it very quickly. So it's I don't know if they did it across Europe, but Nissan used to do a 4-day test drive for the 24 and 30 Leaf, so you could really get an idea of how good it was or bad, or whether it fit your lifestyle. And that for me was key into getting one, because we had it for 4 days. We took it to work. We see if it, and it's the easiest thing in the world to drive. It's point and shoot practically, isn't it? So it won't fit everyone yet, but it's coming. You're not going to stop this electric revolution, no matter what people say. It's on its way. Hybrids will be around for a long time, I'm sure. But when Porsche are bringing the Mission E out, which is going to be the game changer for me, because it will be the first electric car, I think, where people want to put it on their wall, the poster. When you get a teenager putting an electric car on the wall, that for me is when the culture will start changing. The generational culture, shall we say. They will grow up like that. When your daughter gets her first car, and mine as well, I am sure it'll be at least a hybrid or electric, just because by then most things will. So it's on its way.
Volkswagen now, as I'm working a lot for Volkswagen. I do lots of reviews for Volkswagen, and I have some insights, knowledge about it. And within the next, until 2022, Volkswagen is going to put so incredible and unbelievable EV cars on the market, where we can talk confidently about within the next 5 years, range of 600 kilometers easily.
The ID concept cars, are they?
The ID concept cars, which aren't that much concept anymore in the background, because they have it, they drive around with them, and they face these 360 miles with them, or 600 kilometers. But of course, there's many things in the background that they still have to do for putting these cars on the streets and just having public access. And I mean, there is a 110 kilowatt hour battery, the ID Vision, for example, and it works and it drives and it faces 600 kilometers. So within the next 5 years, it's going to happen a lot. And there's going to be really that click where everything changes, because as soon as a car, in my eyes, just like I sign what you say, now it doesn't fit everyone's needs yet. But as soon as a car can drive 600 kilometers, not WLTP, not NFC, this kinds of promising, never fulfilled stuff. No, realistic 600 kilometers, everyone can drive an e-car, because it's not just the batteries and the range that's going to get better and better. It's also the charging, because in 5 years, you're going to have excess. So it's not just because nowadays you already have these 350 kilowatt chargers, and the car's going to be capable for taking 350 kilowatts. So if you have a 100 kilowatt hour battery in a Volkswagen, whatever, and you can charge with 350 kilowatts, this means that within an hour, as it gives you 3 times more energy than your battery capacity is, it takes 3 times less than an hour. So about, let me say, 20 minutes until charging from 0 to 80%. And then no combustion engine driver can say anymore that the e-car doesn't suit or doesn't match his needs, because no one drives 600 kilometers, even solo, if you're driving without anyone. Not driving 600 kilometers just like that. And in Germany, the speed limit's going to be more and more. So Germany in about 10 years is not going to be the same like today, where you can drive from Munich to Berlin in about 4 hours, because if you're driving at night, you can drive 320 kilometers per hour if you'd like to, with a Lamborghini maybe, because there is no speed limit. But that's going to change more and more. And that's going to come to a benefit for the e-cars, because if you're not allowed to drive faster than 120, 130 anyway, then of course no one's going to criticize that you need to drive slow with the e-car, because you're not allowed to drive faster.
Yeah, of course.
There's going to be many surprises by many car makers, even from car makers that you don't expect them to surprise you within the next 5 years, where you're going to see, what? 100 kilowatt hours in a Kia? So
well, it does seem to be the lesser known manufacturers that are embracing this. Kia with obviously the Soul, and now the Nero that's coming out. It's a chance, I think, for lesser manufacturers, if you like, in numbers terms, to really propel them to the front. I mean, it's what everybody's looking at. And the Kia Niro, for example, has got a lot of press at the moment. It's going to have a good range. It's coming out, and there's not much else to compare it against right now. So I think there's a lot of background stuff, like you say, coming out that we probably don't even know exists yet. And it's all 2020 onwards at the moment, it seems. But it's an exciting time, I think. It genuinely feels like a change in like when I'm trying to think of an analogy, really. A big difference in the automotive world is happening right now. Not just changing to EV, but it's the old kind of culture behind it, the thoughts, the lack of noise. I mean, one question I do want to ask is, you had an M135i before with sports exhaust and all that. The petrol head in you must be missing. Putting the windows down on a country road, going through a tunnel. There must be times where you think, I mean, I do. I love both cars. You can like a petrol and an electric car. I like cars in general. So and I do sometimes miss driving because it's a Mini Cooper S, and sometimes I think, no, I'm gonna have some fun today. I'm gonna take that. So do you get, has that entered your head yet? Once the kind of novelty wears out, where you think, I wish I had someone with a good exhaust in this weather.
Right now, the aspect of not paying even a dime on driving is bigger or more impressive to me than the missing engine set. And I was really, really, really a car and sound enthusiast. I had an M Performance exhaust system, and it was really roaring like nothing else, really. Even the Maserati drivers were looking at me. Sometimes when this car passed me by, I'm missing it, because we've many M140i's and Porsches and Ferraris in Munich, where the money is. You've got many of them driving around, and then I say, oh, cool. But it's not like, why don't have I this engine sound? Because it was my decision, and I knew what I'm trading my car for. And I think it's also the aspect of having a daughter and being more calm by driving now, because the car doesn't have this acceleration, doesn't have this top speed. It's more, so I'm a lot calmer now. It's just I'm more relaxed, and it gives me more, I think, more life quality than what I'm losing with my six-cylinder BMW. And especially when I see these problems, in Hamburg in Germany, now they got the first rules of not where diesels can't drive can't drive downtown, and it's got to be the same with Munich. And someday, when they just jumped off the diesels, they're going to start with the petrol engines, because maybe they don't have these problems like the diesels, but they have a lot higher fuel consumption. What about the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S with this massive weight, with this bad aerodynamics, consuming about 27 liters per 100 kilometers per 60 miles? So this is CO2. You could carry the CO2. You could do some workout with the CO2 if you put it in some bags. And this is going to be the next step. So I think it's just causing problems, and I'm so happy of having got rid of this problem that I'm right now not missing it, but maybe it's going to come up again. But right now, not really. And this is when I say it, you can believe that everyone else can face it as well, because I was totally, my car, sometimes I went down and just pushed the ignition button just for hearing it, even if I didn't need to drive anywhere.
Oh yeah, I'm fully aware. I mean, the one thing I've been curious at is there's a big modding scene in Germany, as there is in the UK, as in car modifications, dubs and stuff like that. I used to be part of it. My favourite car of all time, the only one I truly miss that I've ever owned is this lovely little beast there, the Corrado VR6. I love that car to bits, but I often wonder what the modding community, when everything's electric, will be doing. It's not like they're going to change the exhaust on it or something like that to make it louder. They're going to strap bigger batteries to it. Is it going to ruin the modding community?
No, if they are clever. Not, because I think you could, even with the Leaf, if you open it, find ways of making it more powerful. Then, of course, the range goes lower, but I think the tuning community, or the big tuners, will find ways of, I think they are currently doing it, finding ways of tuning e-cars, but maybe it's not necessary at all, because if you take a look at it, the Nissan Leaf, just to say it as a quick comparison, my Nissan Leaf with 150 horsepower has an acceleration from 0 to 65 kilometers per hour, like the current Golf 7 GTI Performance, which has 245 horsepower, so 100 horsepower more. So for keeping up with the Nissan Leaf at a green light battle, you need 100 PS more for keeping up, not for passing by, for keeping up. For keeping up. So if you buy a Tesla now, I think there is no reason for tuning it. So maybe this will be someday the end of the tuners, of the modding companies, because what you want, what is there, what you'd like to do, because a Tesla P100D, you can't accelerate faster than 2.7 seconds from 0 to 62 miles, but many people buying an M5 BMW or an AMG E63S, they still go with these 612 PS or horsepower to the car modifier and give 730 PS.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's I don't know. I guess it's the noise as well. Can't just strap a massive, huge exhaust to the back of an EV, can you? Yeah, I've just got visions of all these teenagers going, "Oh, listen to that!" Like this whine noise. Is that going to become the thing? I wonder. It's an interesting concept. I want to know what teenager that's going to pick my daughter up in another 10 years is going to be driving in.
Your problem's going to be that you're not going to hear if she's climbing out the window and he's picking her up.
Coming back at 3 in the morning. Yeah.
That would have been different about 60 years ago in America with the Mustang, or even today, arriving with the Mustang, you can hear it, but with the e-car, he's just arriving like Batman.
It's a change of culture. It's definitely. I think our generation's going to have the hardest time of it, but it's an exciting time. I'm looking forward to what's coming out. Manufacturers actually seem to be putting an effort into new stuff now. And you mentioned the Leaf's acceleration. I've recently had an i3 video will be coming soon, folks. And I read in several places, so I'm assuming it's true because it's on the internet, that the i3 is the fastest accelerating BMW to 30. And that's including M3s, M5s, all that. I mean, I know it's a kind of useless statistic, but it's quite an interesting one when something like that is quicker than their most powerful.
How much is 30 miles? Just let me see.
About 45 kilometers, I think, per hour.
45. Do you know the exact acceleration time of the i3? Don't you?
To 30, I couldn't tell you. It's got 170 brake horsepower and a carbon fibre body, of course. So it's
Well, let me check out, because the Leaf and the i3 aren't so far away from each other. I will check out quickly because I have uploaded in German forum a photo with the comparison between the Golf 7 GTI Performance and the Leaf, and there you can see the acceleration time. I'm quite curious. Here I found it. Just let me see. From 0 to 40, from 0 to 50 kilometers per hour, it's 2.8 seconds. And from 0 to 40 kilometers per hour, it's 2.2 seconds.
It's a traffic light Grand Prix.
No, it's exactly the same time like the 7 Golf GTI needs, but with the difference that you are a lot faster from off the line, and even if you have the same acceleration time, you are off, and his acceleration time, even if it's the same, only starts by jumping off the line. But until he has done so, you're already gone.
Yeah.
Because it's starting with an EV car on full throttle at a green light is comparable to launch control starts with a normal car.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do launch control starts at a green light because you need to. No one does that. So
no, not no normal person.
Anyway, they don't, because they're underrating. The Leaf standing next to you doesn't look like a.
Even the 30 Leaf is quicker than most standard cars. And it is quite amusing when you get a modified, I don't know, Clio or something, with a 20-year-old snotty kid in it, and you go past him. They get quite angry, I find, but it is quite amusing. But yeah, it's.
I have just some 3-liter V6 diesel Audis. I have really embarrassed them at a green light, and I could hear that he's hitting the accelerator, but had no chance because I was so fast from off the line that
there you go. It's all fun and games, isn't it? Right, well, I could carry on talking forever, but I better not because we'll end up breaking YouTube. But yeah, this has been good fun. I do look forward to some point, hopefully next year. It was going to be this year, but next year of actually visiting somewhere in Germany. I'm hoping the Alpenstrasse because it looks awesome. So if I'm obviously very much in your area there, I will certainly let you know.
Yes, if you are here, I expect you to pay me a visit.
Absolutely, yes. We have a few other friends in Germany as well, so we'll probably do a tour. Might even go around the Nürburgring. Has a Leaf ever gone around the Nürburgring? I'd be curious to know that one.
I don't know, but I think anyway the engine power gets limited down after 20 minutes or something like that. So after 20 minutes, it's not anymore 150 PS, then it's 116.
Right.
But it's permanently 20 minutes full throttle.
Yeah. Well. Someone's done it already. Although I can tell you that I don't know if you've ever been to the Goodwood Festival of Speed. It's like a 1.5 mile track. The fastest car to do that, and everything has gone up this from 1960s Ferraris to the Bugatti Chiron last year. The fastest car to do that backwards is the Nissan Leaf.
Really?
They removed the restrictor, so you could go backwards in the Leaf as fast as you can go forwards. So they got a stunt driver in it, and he basically went up the hill run, if you like. So it's got the record for the Goodwood Festival of Speed, going backwards as the Nissan Leaf still. There you go.
Senseless stuff, but it's really cool. So.
I guess we just stumbled across what some of the modding community might be doing. Take the restrictor off. Right, okay, well, thanks for watching, guys, everybody on the chat. Kenneth, I will hope to see you down at the Fully Charged live event, which is at Silverstone in a couple of weeks now. He's from Canada, just so you know who he is. Kenneth Bokar is at Tesla Model 3 Owners Club.
Hold on for a second. Is Kenneth, are you Hungarian? Because your name, Bokor, is a Hungarian name. So you surely are Hungarian, are you?
I know that he's from Canada and he's Canadian because he's got the YouTube channel, the EV Revolution Show now, I think it's called. But yeah, it's got to come from somewhere, hasn't it? I suppose. So when he sees that name,
his name is definitely Hungarian. I know that.
Well, you never know.
It's mine as well.
Turns out you're long lost cousins. He's saying yes. Apparently it is.
Can you see that? Where did he say yes?
The stream. There's a bit of a delay there.
I was asking back something. So if you guys would like to see until now everything about the Nissan Leaf, just check out my library on my channel, because I have reviewed the Nissan Leaf, and I'm not trying to do a competition with you now, but I'm gonna, as a Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt hour owner, I will be uploading things like comparison between eco mode and normal mode, doesn't really make a difference, and many other things that you're not going to see in normal videos, because car testers don't have the time for checking out these things that only come in my mind after having driven for days, weeks, and anytime just pay me a visit on my channel. But he eats it.
Well, the link to the Car Mania YouTube channel is in the description below of this video, for anybody that does want that. So it's, I mean,
it could help. It could help, because the views for the Nissan Leaf are horrible. I mean, I have about 515,000 views on my Polo GTI review and on Volkswagen reviews, but the Nissan Leaf has currently 5,307, and that shows how small basically the interest on EV cars is compared to the combustion engines, unfortunately. Because why? I mean, why?
Well, if you got hold of the Leaf before it came out, that would be way higher. And obviously you have access to a lot of cars. As soon as BMW do something, or Volkswagen, that you have access to, that I am not in any way jealous about, then you will get the views, of course. I'm sure when there being a full electric 3 Series out, if you get hold of that before it comes out with the general public, that'll get tons and tons of views, because it's early access, isn't it? That's the hardest thing I've found. And I've done this channel for nearly 3 years.
On really popular channels, reaching, having many thousands, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, even there, I can see the Leaf reviews are not really having the comparable click rate like these normal cars, like the Polo, even if it's just a regular Polo.
It's not in the public consciousness as much, is it? It's not a sexy car that people are going to Google and want to watch a YouTube video of a Leaf tearing around a track. So I think, like you say, it's. I find it's a steady climb of views rather than a massive hit and then it stops, because there are always people. I mean, I've got, I'd say, probably hundreds of messages now over the past few years from people who have watched various EV channels, not just my own, and have gone on to buy one because they've seen videos like mine, like yours, and it's given them the confidence to actually go and buy one, because they don't, like I say, the manufacturers, or rather the dealers, pretty much know nothing, don't they? I mean, you get a good few. I mean, I had an argument with a dealer in January before the Leaf was launched. He was adamant and wouldn't take no for an answer that the new Nissan Leaf was only coming with one pedal. And I went, no, it's the E pedal. You still get a brake pedal. No, it's only one pedal, is this, mate? And I went, it doesn't. He was selling them. I mean, so
they don't know anything about them.
No. There's a couple out there that are very good, but ultimately, there are.
Selling the combustion engines is too important right now.
Yeah. There's not a lot. There's probably not a lot of profit in the EV market, I suppose, yet. So we'll. So yeah, it's. It'll be interesting. I think they're going to have to retrain a lot of them. But to be honest, were they any better with a combustion engine? Our dealer's that much up on the new Polo. You know, if you asked him about the new Polo GTI, I'm sure they'd be probably as clueless as they were about the Leaf in real terms. So I guess it's nothing new. But yes. So Kenneth, I will probably talk to you in a couple of weeks in person, because I believe you're coming over to the UK for that, and maybe even do another video. I prefer doing live streams because there's no chuffing editing involved, and it gets you on a topic and a discussion that who knows where it goes. So I'd like to carry on doing this with various people around the world that I will never probably physically meet in America or Canada or Europe. Hopefully I will, but ultimately this for me is more enjoyable than doing a traditional video. So there will be more. I just need to find someone interesting to talk to, I suppose. That's the next step. Yes, it's been good fun. For everyone on the chat, thanks for watching. For everybody that's watching it after the fact, again, thank you. There'll be more of this. Again, please subscribe. For those that have been mentioning that they haven't got a notification about live videos, you have to click on the little bell symbol on the subscription and click all to get all notifications on the channel. I'll probably do something separate on that. So, Chris, thanks very much for doing this. It's been good. I will probably talk to you off and on over the coming months. I'll keep an eye on your channel, and hopefully I'll get out to Germany at some point. Next May we are apparently going to Oslo for my wife's 40th, probably in a car as well. So I don't know if you ever go northern Germany, and you could always intercept us somewhere, or even meet us in. Who knows? Yeah, it's been great, guys. Thanks for watching. Chris, thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you very much, guys.
I shall stop streaming now. So bye everybody, and I'll see you soon.